Hi everyone. My name is. I'll be starting you off for our takeaway Thursday today. So what I'll be talking about is okay. So before we get into the meeting thing, background. So years ago, like when the internet was still a bit rigid, nothing happening, it wasn't exciting. Basic functionality, you did what you had to do, nothing less. So around 2005. People, Casey Rees and Ben Fry, got tired of it. They were MIT students and they were designers slash developers. And they thought, how can we make the web a bit better? Because right now it's not giving what it needs to give. So they, in their media lab in MIT, they come up with something brilliant called processing. And processing was built on Java, which is a language that was highly used back then. It's still used, but yeah, we have more exciting things now. It was built on Java. Rudolph was giving me the eye. It was built on Java. So Java is able to do, has these things called applets, and applets where you can be able to have like interactive functionality that you can be able to use on like web applications. It was exciting. Everything was working fine. But then fast forward a couple of years later, more exciting things happened, more amazing languages, things that are more exciting happened. And people are like, we have this great thing that's processing, but now the browser is working a different way. There's more tools that we can use to be able to access different functionality for it. And Lauren McCarthy decided that, you know what, let's do a collaboration with processing and come up with something called P5JS. These are going to come. Yes. So P5JS, a great and amazing tool built as a library for JavaScript. So as a description, on the p5js.org site, they say P5JS is a JavaScript library for creative coding with focus on making coding accessible and inclusive for artists, designers, educators, beginners, and anyone else. And honestly, that's what it has been to me, because when I started my journey in tech, I didn't know a lot, but when I was introduced to something like this that was so beginner friendly and easy to understand, it just blew my mind away of all the possibilities that you have available to you with just using the browser alone. So when you think of P5JS, you can think of it as a digital canvas, okay? So the DOM is where you'll be able to do all the work that you need to do. So just like how you have a physical canvas, you have your paints, you have whatever you need to use to make your project, the same thing has been transferred onto your browser. P5JS is a library, not necessarily a language. So it's a JavaScript library. So that means that you have both the functionality of JavaScript plus additional functionality and methods that you receive from the P5JS library. And then lastly, if you're already into coding, especially with JavaScript, that means that it uses HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So there are things that will be familiar to you as you start using P5JS. So getting started. So if you're somebody new and you want to explore how everything works, so like I said, it's a library for JavaScript. And according to research, JavaScript is one of the easier languages to learn. No offense to all the other languages, but it's one of the easier ones. The learning curve is not too steep. So anyone can be able to understand what's happening. There's not too much jargon that will throw you off as you begin. And then number two, since it's a library, that means you already have a set of tools set out for you to use. You don't need to write massive lines of code to be able to achieve one thing. This library itself has already done all that. You just call these methods and these functions to do what you want to achieve with your project. And then lastly, accessibility. This P5JS has an online editor, and it has a desktop editor that you can download onto your PC. And then lastly, you can be able to import it in any of your projects as a package, or you can use CDN, which is great. And what I want to do is I'm going to show you some examples of what it looks like. And because I'm smart and I don't want to test the demagogues, I did some examples beforehand, and we'll just go through those ones. Okay, so I didn't prepare just one, I prepared a bunch. Who's that? Okay, cool. So on the websites, is that me? Hello? Okay. Okay, cool. Oh, what's this thing? Okay, so on the website, there is a page where it says reference, where you'll find all the different examples of the methods that are available to you with the P5JS library. As you can see, there's colors, there's shapes. Like what I meant with it's easy to learn and it's beginner friendly. That means if you want to draw a circle, there's ellipse, ellipse, there's circle, there's a method for line, there's a method for drawing a rectangle, a square. All these things have been done beforehand for you so that you can just use the library just like that. Okay, because there's this thing. Okay, so here's our first example. Yes, so this is what the online editor looks like. What you'll find is that you have where you can write your code here on the side. As I said before, you have your normal JavaScript files, which is an HTML file, a JavaScript file, and CSS. All that's for the HTML and CSS, everything has been set up. So there are two methods that P5JS provides you with. The first one is the setup function. The setup function is to it runs when the program starts. So if I press play here, that's what the setup function does. It renders just once, and that's where you can see the method that says create canvas. So that will create my canvas for me one time. And then we have the second method, which is a draw function. So the draw function runs continuously in a loop. So anything or any function that you call inside of there will continually run. And there are amazing things that you can be able to create or to randomize in your canvas. So here, as you can see, we have a canvas which is drawn on our setup function. And then on the draw, we set the background and we draw a circle. And ta-da, you have a beautiful circle. Thank you. And then let's make it more awesome. So there are multiple things, like I said, multiple functions that you can use that are available to JavaScript and to P5JS. So here in our setup function, we create a canvas. And then there is a method called mouse is pressed. So you can set different conditions to how you want to draw certain things. So here, if my mouse is pressed, we fill with transparent, but if it's not, then it will fill with this pink. And then the mouse itself will be a little round circle. And if you can see here, you can see me moving around. So you can use this to draw whatever you want to draw. And if I press down, my mouse changes to transparent, things like that. So you can just go crazy and do whatever you like. It's pretty fun and it's pretty exciting, all the things that you can do. And then my third example is this here. So this one is one of the more advanced, or maybe I should say complicated examples that I will show. That you can see here, we're creating some particles. So on our we have our create canvas, which takes the whole width of the window that you're on. And then we're able to specify the length of the particle. And on the draw, we call all these different methods that are able to help us to draw this. So you can see there's tiny particles floating around and they connect to each other with these faint lines. And then the last example that I will show you is here. So this is an example actually from P5JS, which shows some interaction that you can use. So as I move my mouse like this, you can see that the tree moves up and it moves down, then it closes. So this is just some of the cool stuff that I want to show you with this, that there's so many things that you can be able to achieve. I've seen people make games. I've seen people make light illusions. You see that screensaver on Windows that goes like this? You can create that with P5JS. And then going back to just in closing, so P5JS is not just a library, it has a full-blown out community because they want people to be able to express themselves on the internet. So with development, there's multiple tutorials that people have provided for you to be able to follow if you're not sure on what to do. This will help you on when you're getting started and as you progress. And then documentation, they're always updating their documentation. Nothing more fun than trying a new tool and there's nothing to tell you how it works. So with P5JS, you too, if you write a method, you can be able to contribute to the documentation that they already have. And as I showed you, there's multiple examples on their site and even other people who have done articles to be able to share with people. And then to create and teach, they always encourage people to create. And if you want to share something, they can even display it on their websites for other people to see. And then to teach, if you would like to hold teaching videos or teaching seminars, they encourage that too. If you reach out, they will be able to help you to get the right tools for you to do that. And then they also hold conferences. You know how there's JavaScript conferences and all these dev conferences, there's also a P5JS conference where people can meet and discuss what they're working on and how to improve. And it's just amazing. I hope that if you didn't learn something new, you learned something that you want to try. And if you did learn something new, you go out and do try it. It's a really great tool that we can all use. And like it said, it's not just for developers, it's for people who also are not into developing, but want to create things on the internet. And that is my talk on the art of JavaScript. Thank you so much.